Okay, so good morning, everyone. So we are going to dive in a very interesting topic today. It's super relevant to this meeting, and I think it's super relevant to today's vibe as well, because we are going to talk about vibe coding and the community around vibe coding. We have three amazing guests from the different corners of this industry today, and I'll give my microphone to them to introduce yourself. And do you have any very initial, idea to the our listeners? Please, in this very first round of session, we can discuss about vibe coding and your experience of vibe coding. Let's start from introduce yourself and what's your initial impression or definition of this vibe?
Hi, everyone. Gabe Perez from Product Hunt. I am the product curator of Product Hunt, so I test all the products and I help decide the leaderboard. My initial impression of vibe coding is that it's accelerating the way both technical and non-technical people are able to develop and distribute a product.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Sae. I'm working in Mercari as an IC engineer, but I also started a hackathon community, Melting Hack. Okay, so my initial impression is, of vibe coding is, how can I say? It's breakthrough. It's, how can I say? Paradigm shift for not only engineer, but also designer and marketers. So it's kind of a co-worker. Everyone can work without specific skills. So yeah, I really want to introduce some shifts today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Taishi, founder of AlphaByte and creator of Solo Maker and running a Maker's Guild, which is a hackathon platform. And part-time influencer. I just started it. And I like vibe coding. And I actually created the Solo Maker with a vibe coding for the first version. And I'm trying to bring some cool product from the other countries to Japan and spread their product to create more vibe coder. That's kind of my goal recently. And I love vibe coding. Thanks.
So yeah, so my initial question will be to if you don't mind me, call it this way. How should I?
Gabe. Yeah.
Gabe. Okay, let's go, Gabe. Then, Gabe, I heard that you are working on the leaderboard, the product leaderboard. How is the leaderboard shifting when after the vibe coding vibe start to emerge?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's two instances. There's two big shifts of how the leaderboard is. You see companies shipping features a lot faster, supporting basically user requests a lot quicker. And then the biggest one that I'm excited for is you're seeing a lot of new makers, a lot of new people that have a great idea and you're able to ship an alpha or beta version really fast. And you're seeing that happen in real time on Twitter, then on the leaderboard, and then ranking top 5 product. I think right now today, the top #1 product was vibe coding.
No problem. So as the two that you are running like hackathon communities and you being like the developer yourself, with the shift on the leaderboard saying all this vibe code being product, what's your initial thought and what's your action regarding this?
You mean collaborate, please? Hackathon and vibe coding?
Yeah, as your community organizer yourself, saying this vibe coding thing on both the leaderboard shifting and such, what's your reaction?
Understand. Okay, so initial thought when vibe coding becomes popular, actually hackathon is a, how can I say? It's not a pitch-a-thon, so every participant have to implement. That's why if we use a vibe coding tools, then it's a little bit strange since everyone don't implement actually. That's why as an organizer, we don't want to push to use vibe coding tools, but now that it's an AI native gen, so that's why we aggressively to use vibe codings, and once we expect a high level output in the hackathons. And then also, even though the participants don't have enough skill, or how can I say, even though they are not designer or they can't implement the backend, but yeah, vibe coding is kind of a partner or member. That's why, yeah, as an organizer of the hackathon, we highly aggressively to use vibe coding tools, and they want to see the highest accuracy output.
Yeah, so a lot of people creating create the product or tool, and there's two types of product. One is for just yourself, and other one is for other people. And vibe coding is very enough for the just individual. If I say I want to create some tool for myself, and it's perfectly fine. But if you want to provide any good experience to other people, it's still not enough just vibe coding. So it's like you have to learn how to code and security, database, and everything. But it's like it's gonna be changed. Like the vibe coding will enough for the product will soon. And also, like, if you create some product for other people, it's hard to monetize. How do you get the user and aka marketing? And a lot of like solo indie hackers don't know how to do marketing, and that's next step. So marketing, monetize, that's next shift, and people have to find how to learn how to marketing and monetize. I think that's the next important step for other vibe coders.
Distribution.
Like great insights. And out of my curiosity, what are you building or what are you doing daily with as a web coder slash marketer slash content creator using all these tools, and how are your experience shifting within the last, let's say, half a year since the model is progressing so fast?
Yeah, I am addicted to experimenting with different models. Right now, my vibe coding stack is Cursor, VO3, Gemini, not the mobile, but the desktop. And I do a little bit of, it's like CodeRabbit for code checks. And essentially, what I do is I have ways to improve my workflow. So I look at something, and if it's a repetitive task, I look and say, how much time is this taking me? And then I write down the steps I do. And then I work with ChatGPT and Cursor on building out a roadmap on how I can automate this task. And then I build myself a tool to automate it. And so a lot of times, even when I first joined Product Hunt, I built like 3 different tools to help speed up my tasks. And now it's taken about 30 minutes to an hour. It's freed up about an hour daily. And now within that hour, I can continue vibe coding during work to continue improving my tasks. And this allows the company to then push forward on more innovation, push forward on different products, and really just keep driving forward, and we're not stuck, I guess for the time. I have more, but I'll stop there.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. That's a question. How do you use it personally?
Okay, so yeah, of course I'm an organizer of the hackathon, but I also worked as an engineer in Mercari. So since it's a really different aspect, if we implement from scratch, that's also useful to use vibe coding. But on the other hand, like Mercari, a huge code-based company, that's also try to use vibe codings. And then that's really interesting. That's why I'm interested in. I'm introduced it. So to use a huge code base, like have more than 500 modules, it's still useful to use vibe codings. Like, for example, in Mercari, I use original architectures. So actually, that's really difficult to understand. Even though for me, I worked in Mercari for 2 years, but still difficult to understand. But for example, Cursor, I just input the prompt, and then, okay, let me check the architecture first. And then in the next message, I understand the architecture. Well, it's so surprising for me. What? So it's really, how can I say? Okay, I don't need to work as an engineer. But anyway, yeah. So in a huge code base, still useful in a private coding. So it's a partner, yeah.
So I'm a software engineer, and I'm so lazy, so I don't want to work. So the ultimate goal of running AI agent or agentic product is like to maybe not work. And it started from the very first version of Cursor, just like they're trying to help me as a coder. And I don't know, I forgot the name, Cascade is from Windsor. Yeah. And then like the Bolt, I don't have to do like such a micromanagement for AI, and it's run on the browser, so I don't have to prepare a local like develop environment, and it's also simple and easy. And now I can use like
Codex?
Yeah, Codex or whatever.
Codex.
It's run on GitHub, and I can just write some simple natural language and don't have issue. So I don't have to always in front of like a computer. I don't have to use computer. I can use my phone to program and fix bug or So like I have more time to do other tasks, and I want to do more some human stuff, human work, like talking here, meeting new people, and then like programmer, which is AI, work in my computer. So like that's my goal.
That's really interesting. That's my practice as well. So basically launching a vibe coding job and head back to go grab a coffee and start to write some like product document, because I still hold a like product title and then see the code. So that's pretty much what happened today. So with this vibe coding, like working in the backstage, and you step onto the front stage, the community, the aspect of community and the connection of people must become very important, like the vibe between people. And all three of you are running communities, are community events organizers, and are try to connect the different people in the community. So what's your experience there? What are the highlight moments and aha moments that you are you are running a community of programmers, of developers, builders?
Which one? The program?
Community. What's your highlight moment in running a community or running a?
Having event.
Community or events.
Community events. All works.
Okay, so I I host some hackathon online. And I host them, it's like a product hunt for Japanese people. And I didn't expect there's so many non-engineer people create their own product. And I think I would say half of them are not professional coders. But they create the product and they ship it. And people told me, if you ship it to, for example, like a product hunt or solo maker, and they can actually acquire at least 100 of users, which is enough for the first testing. So the saddest thing for the creator is like you create it, you spend maybe 1 month or 6 months, and no one uses it, and that's the saddest part. But if you know like at least minimum step of marketing, first marketing, maybe you can avoid that sad story.
Okay, so actually I have a hackathon community. I started a hackathon community last year, and then at that time I just learned to participate in hackathon and want to provide the precious opportunity to everyone. But after that, I understand the benefits to join a community is, how can I say, to learn together. So for me, and so for example, so like recently, there are so many latest updates or information, and then probably everyone are exhausted to catch up the latest. And on the other hand, everyone wants to understand and study in the actual implementation skills. That's why. So that's the reason community is so variable. Everyone is the same stage and they want to run together, even though, how can I say, for example, something creates and then others can easily do some feedbacks.
Yeah, feedback.
So like friendly or warmful atmosphere is so valuable. So that's why I hosted hackathons and the community.
It's a safe space.
Safe space, yeah.
Safe space, yeah.
The community is important, I think, for three primary reasons. As I mentioned, when you have a community of people that are able to give you feedback, you're able to distribute ideas and have an open conversation. And two, you're able to help create like your first launch, your first market. So those first couple of users are typically within your community. And lastly, within that community, you are able to not only be able to launch and market, but they are most likely, the network effect is real, right? So they're most likely able to introduce you to someone that can either be a co-founder or maybe
knows
something a little bit better about the area that you're building in. So within that network effect, it's just exponentially going to grow you as a maker, you as a person, and then allow you to have more opportunities. I think all of us here are great symbols of that. We're in a very similar space, and we focus on different aspects. But the network effect let us here speaking on the stage.
So while you are running the community and you are participating in the community, with the vibe coding thing going on recently, what are the most interesting episodes that happened with you plus community plus vibe coding? Yeah.
So typically everyone's working on their same project, but recently, and I mostly do things online. Recently we were all just sitting online, and this person was trying, so there's a documentation for Swift, for Apple, right? So it's on Swift. And they were trying to implement this logic with health, the Apple Health. And they weren't able to get it working, and so they were in the chat, does anybody have experience in Apple Health? And then before you know it, the whole event was working on this one person's project, trying to get Apple Health to work. And the one person that got it to work had zero experience in Swift, zero experience in development. What they offered was a different way to prompt the tool. We were all prompting it from a way, understanding the documentation, understanding the end goal. And this person was just prompting like, I don't know anything, so let me just ask questions. And eventually, they found it's so funny, healths, the way it's pronounced and they put in the code is different. And because we were all focused on how it was being called and everything, we missed the spelling. And this person was just like, oh, did you know, like, it's spelled differently? And then if you want to call like running health, it's like running.health at whatever. I forgot the actual results. But I think the key thing here is vibe coding allows people that have no experience to actually offer solutions and impact because of the way they're thinking, because of the way they're communicating. And this makes every individual member extremely more valuable as long as they're able to pick up the tool, use the tool, and drive towards a similar solution. So that was really cool to see, like, the person that knew nothing came up with the solution. Now I'm going to look and see what the actual code base is.
Really cool.
Interesting. So, okay, the keyword, aha moments, vibe coding, and the community. So, actually, it's a different community. I also previously supported Onna Otaku Seisei AI Bull, created by Hayakawa Gomi-san. Actually, that community is really amazing. It's really, how can I say, more friendly for, of course, generative AI industry, most of them is one of the problems. But yeah, Hayakawa Gomi-san tries to solve the problems. So she invites not only for women and also the people who love otaku and interested in to catch up the AI technologies. That's at first that's a really interesting environment. But also the most exciting aha moment situation is everyone don't have a knowledge of implementation knowledge, but they only they have a, how can I say, use case. For example, one author already finished the story of novel, but the otaku still wants to see another story or the next story. So that's one use case, and then they try to solve the situation, and then using the V0, and then create the application to generate the next episode. So that's why, even though they don't have knowledge to implement the applications, but the most important thing is use case. If they have a use case, the vibe coding tools becomes much more exciting. Well, that's the one example.
That's interesting too.
So, if you're running a community, you start seeing there's a really successful person in a community, and people look up at those successful people, and what they're doing is they're also good at marketing, and they do like self-pitch, and they're kind of like a half influencer, and they have already users. And famous indie hackers, Peter Levels, everyone knows, and we're kind of waiting for the time. There's like a maybe Japanese indie Peter. Yeah, and they're doing it so that they don't have to work 5 to 9, like 9 to 5. And they do travel a lot, they learn a lot of culture, they make a lot of friends in different countries. So mastering vibe coding is not just about like, creating a product. It can potentially change your life, how to live. You don't have to work at the company, you don't earn money per hour. But instead, it's like an ultimate scalable business model. Influencers do the same thing, but the software is more, you can create the vibe system. So potentially the income or profit will be 10x, 100x than doing just regular content creator. So people start mastering those processes. And we're still waiting more successful pattern from the Japanese indie hacker community. And I don't think it's going to take more than 1 year. It's going to be soon to see the really famous or successful pattern from this community. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, so we have talked about the community vibe coding. I know that you told me before the meeting, before our panel, you guys are planning on something new, on something interesting that can bring web coding and the community together and in Japan. So, do you like to share something regarding this initiative?
Okay. So we have a different background, but we agree vibe coding is really important. That's why we try to start new movement, vibe coding communities. So we...
Yeah, so we're putting together a community for vibe coding, and we'll be launching a hackathon here in a couple of months. And then we'll also be working to support different platforms and partners like Bolt and Revenue Cat and different applications that support makers and builders and individuals that want to build products and be self-sustaining. I think Taishi mentioned it really well. Vibe coding has an exponential, not even just vibe coding, but producing your own products has the ability to provide exponential growth, whether that's in your professional life or if you want to become like Peter Levels and live a free entrepreneurial lifestyle. And so just make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'll be mostly doing it in English, and I'll support Japanese, but then Simon and Taishi will be doing it in Japanese, and then you'll be able to see some of our updates there as we start rolling off.
How can we...
Yeah.
How can they follow?
No, we don't have a Twitter bargo here, but I will try to find a way to share the Twitter handle. Maybe we can speak it out afterward. And what I have some like very still out of my own curiosity though, the new Japanese focused web coding community. What do you expect to see from it, and what kind of support you can provide to this community?
Could you repeat that again?
What kind of support you can provide to this like new initiative, and what are the
support?
So,
mental support?
Yeah. So a lot of us have like personal experience building tools, and a lot of our experience within our own communities and even within our friends and coworkers is that they're not aware of the tools or products. They don't know how to use the tools or products, and it can become overwhelming sometimes to try to dive in. And so something we want to do is provide the guidance on how to use tools and how to implement them in your personal life, in your workflow, or towards a product that you want to build. And then a lot of us here have different touch points with different startups, different makers that also are able to provide that support. So say like Bolt.new or Lovable or VO, like a lot of us have some sort of contact or touch point there, and so we potentially would be able to partner with them or maybe bring in a speaker and such. So just being able to offer our contacts and our expertise to the community.
So, okay, yeah, my vibe coding is still new. And then, for example, even though someone have a 5 years experience of iOS development or 8 years of background experience, but vibe coding still new. That's why community support is the most variable. And then if you can share some problem, someone can support you. And then, yeah, please don't hesitate to say the problem. Everyone also still new, so support each other might be the best options.
Yeah. So the support from community, there's like 2 types of the support, and there's like 2 types of people in the community. People who are not engineers, who just started or even interested in doing vibe coding, versus really professional engineer who wants to make money with their own product. And the first one, you need to dedicate a time or host some workshop to teach how to do basic vibe coding. And then their goal is just creating a simple landing page or a simple app with a Bolt or whatever, a very easy one, the browser-based AI coding tool. And the second one, the support. We can provide some how to do marketing, but ultimately marketing takes time and a lot of resources. And to minimize these resources, we still need to depend on some sort of a software, maybe SaaS. We pay $10 for boosting their user acquisition, and then if you get the $20, it makes sense. So but there is no Japanese SaaS that driven by PLD. Product development lead, I forgot. Yeah. So there's a lot of product in the global market, but Japanese people still not using it to get the organic user acquisition. Maybe currently trend is TikTok marketing, but Japanese indie hackers or software companies not doing it. So that's the next move to catch up the global trend to do those tiny marketing strategies. Yeah, that's 2 support I can do.
Yeah, and one thing on that last note is marketing in Japan is, locally is very different, but also when you're building a software, you have the whole world at your fingertips. And a lot of times builders in Japan, they don't think beyond maybe their city even, right? And with vibe coding and AI tools, it's very easy to localize the software. It's a little bit more difficult to localize a UI or UX, but with the right roadmap, again, educating, starting from the beginning, you're able to create a more globalized UX, so that way you're able to distribute that product. And in marketing, the content is so easy to, well, not easy, but it's a lot easier to create now with things like VO3, 11 Labs, Whisk, and there's just all these different content tools where if you have a clear idea or someone here to instruct you on how to put those things together, it's pretty helpful, and that's what we aim to be, like a resource center.
Vibe marketing.
Vibe marketing. Yeah. Yeah, vibe marketing.
Yeah. So a fun fact: I'm INTP. So I'm I. So I always felt very hard to catch the community vibe. I'm in the participating community now, but that's how would I say? So my initial encounter with the community was absolutely incident. So it's a very random occasion that I come into crash into a community and I start to participate in it. I get very positive feedback, and then I start to actively participate in the community. So do you have any suggestion for the web coders, especially for people like me, how to catch the vibe or how to make their first step into the community? Maybe all here is E people, so I don't know.
Well, we probably all have different approaches to this. I think my biggest step is just like be yourself and have confidence in what you know. Don't be expected to know what other people know. Have confidence in what you know. And this is going to sound so funny, but say you know nothing technical, but you love, Pokemon. Just know that you love Pokemon. Go to the event, listen to people, and I guarantee you, out of all the 50 people, there will be one person that likes Pokemon. You go and talk to them, you connect about that, and then that's going to open up, that connection will open up the comfort level for you to ask, hey, by the way, do you mind meeting for coffee? Do you mind teaching me a little bit more about vibe coding or how to use cursor or how to use this? Finding that connection, that entrance point is key, and it'll just help you get yourself in that community, and then you'll go back, and then hopefully that opens up.
Okay. So I think, if you want to catch up the latest information, of course you can see the YouTube or other video tools, and also a conference or workshop. But it's still passive. But now you come here, and then probably for me, as the most valuable community is to communicate each other and then share your knowledge. That will be much useful, and also. Especially for me, I really want to provide, how can I say, the main purpose to start my community is everyone should be the main character for their own stories. That's why I want to provide you to, how can I say, that's a little difficult, but actual implementation skill I really want to provide. So that's the concept of a hackathon. And then, so to provide that environment, especially focus on providing bilingual environment, like using Japanese and English, but also gender balance, not only men, but also women. And also the nationality is totally different. Age border is also from the junior high school students to the senior level of people. So yeah, we try to provide diverse environment. In this case, everyone is totally different. That's why easily communicate each other. And then everyone can be more active.
Okay. So first of all, the Japanese people are different by default type.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not so good at talking to strangers. And I host a lot of offline events because I value the real network. And maybe for example, 10 to 20 people at the cafe. Everyone's very shy. No one starts that. And they don't have ice breaking, or they don't do small talk. Yeah, but since everyone is so everyone has a really interesting story, and they have a different perspective of each individual problem, and they have a very interesting way to try to solve that problem. And if there is not half of the people are not E, it's kind of comfortable for I people, I think, because everyone's kind of timid and not so talkative, and they're just talking their niche interests, and which is perfect for indie hackers because they should try to solve a very niche product, a niche problem. So yeah, you don't have to be very outgoing or talkative, like those a typical business meetup. I don't like the business meetup, like networking. Everyone has to pitch in 1 minute perfectly and wearing suits. And indie hacker or solo maker or whatever, like those live coders communities, very different, with different vibe. You don't have to be a strong business person. That's why I like this community. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for this amazing sharing. So any questions from our listeners? Chinese, 用中文也可以, or English or Japanese. Any question? Please raise your hand, and we can have our panelists answer your question. I don't expect everyone here being I people. Yeah, okay. 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 Yeah.
日本語も大丈夫だ。
Oh.
I have only one question about product count. Before our, if there's an example, before our product published, before the product count, what is the important step before our published?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Different level. Thank you for asking the question. So before launching, whether it's product hunt or even just general Twitter marketing, I would recommend having these 3 or 4 things. One is a very easy way to understand what you're doing. A lot of people are focusing on all these marketing verbiage, like the top leading CRM to get you top sales, and that tells you nothing about how the product is unique. Focus on what makes you special in a very quick and succinct way. The second one is make sure you have good supporting assets. And so visual is king right now. Everything is video or a very clear image asset. So make sure you have good assets and a demo video that supports what you're saying. So if you're like the first, if you're the first social network that supports AI module or whatever, then make sure that the assets support that. The third thing is to make sure that you have a small network of supporters. It doesn't need to necessarily be, it can be your friends and family, your mom, your coworkers. And what that does is it helps people not be afraid to start the conversation. So kind of similar to the community aspect. Once people see there's comments and questions, others become encouraged to ask comments and questions. And so having a little bit of a network already ready to ask questions is really important. The last one's kind of optional, but have a moment. This is your special moment. Either create a party, invite people over for pizza, whatever it is, but make it a moment and then talk about that moment. You can take pictures, share it on Twitter, say we just launched, oh my God, we're number 10 now. If you keep that conversation going, and then just really share the moment and share your experience, it makes it real for everyone, and then it adds a little bit of humanity, to the product, and then people are more willing to support it.
Cool.
I think there's a question there. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the sharing. So I have a quick question about how, all of you think about the future paradigm switch of the occupation as coder, right? Because of the vibe coding. So for example, I wonder maybe in the future more like product sets person needed actually for example, everything tests for the coder. Or maybe in the future you need to write more testing, right? Because you're going to use AI agent to do all the things. So the final result check is more important for big mass of coders. So yeah, I will hear your thoughts on in the future skill set for software engineering.
So I value storytelling for the indie hackers or solo maker. A lot of people trying to solve random problem which is not related to the creator, and it turns out it's really hard to tell the story why he or she made that product. people are not resonating their story, people don't know how to market, because they're totally not understanding the problem, or it's not their problem. And the future for the software engineer, so I can't expect like some detailed stuff, but it's a very different story. The people who created AI or LLM or agentic system, very basic part of the tech, maybe we can say deep tech startup people, they still need academic background, and people should hop into those academia. Or if you just want to create some fancy SaaS or app that generates some profit, you don't need degrees. So for the current software engineer people, yeah, they should keep adapting the new environment, which is happening to my past. I started coding as an Android developer, and people started not using Kotlin or Java. I mean, they still do, but like, React Native is more trend. And then, like, people used to use Rails, they start moving to the Next.js, and people start coding with IntelliJ, maybe people start hopping to Cursor, Windsurf. So the speed is just too fast. Every month, every week, you have to upgrade your tech stack. And it's more competitive. It's not chill, but you have to really work harder in AI era to not miss the chance. Yeah, it's really harder now.
Okay, yeah, let me introduce my opinion quickly. So everyone should be the AI native. So especially the professional of the software engineer might want to work a little more harder, but especially for us have to be AI native. If you, for example, if we receive the specification, just input in AI. If we implement applications, that's also inputted in AI. If the bug appears, that's also input in AI. So everything's worked in AI, and then we work with AI to achieve the goals. So probably just should be in the future.
Yeah, I was introduced to this term by this young gentleman a couple of days ago. It's called AI-driven development. And I think it's a really good way to separate vibe coding from AI-assisted development. And what that means to me is, from a technical level, AI is very good. It can make a lot of things very fast, but it will make mistakes. And when you have someone who knows the documentation, that knows what the architecture of the application is, when you know what the language is, they're able to go in and debug or figure out the problem, or enhance the code that was generated by the AI. That's something that someone that vibe codes is not, or someone that's not able to understand documentation or technical implementation is able to do. I think the future of engineering is going to come down to knowledge and tech stack. So instead of having tests like we typically do, it's going to be like, here's Cursor, here's a problem, how do you solve this problem? And seeing how these junior devs are going towards development and how the process is how these tools available.
Okay. So quick answer to our question. Coding is a language. Code is language, and we talk to AI. So try to think a different way on express yourself, what's your need, not via code, but also via code plus context plus prompts plus text to AI, and let AI do the job. So that's my quick pitch, right? Okay, so thank you for listening, and thank you for all our amazing guests on discussing this topic. We have a lot of future schedule as well, so please stay tuned. I haven't found a way for you guys to share the QR code directly here, but yeah, I will please send QR code to us. We will distribute it in the community, so I make sure everybody sees that. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's the session, and thank you very much for this amazing talk.